Salpi Ghazarian, Executive Director of Civilitas Foundation, a dear friend of mine and a dear friend of Armenia. And CivilNet.am is a program, is a project of Civilitas Foundation. And in one sentence, if I were to explain what CivilNet does, it has become synonymous with the question, so what? What happens around us happens, but so what? What does it mean for our lives? And Salpi is going to talk to us about that. Salpi.
Welcome to CivilNet. Welcome to the Social Good Summit. And thank you, Counterpart, for giving us this opportunity to explain one more time what we try to do here. You know, I started life out as a librarian. And that meant that when you wanted information, you had to go find either the person or the book that had it. And it was a great way to live because you had no responsibility. Your responsibility was to go find, and somebody else had it. Somebody else had the information, somebody else knew who had the information, somebody wrote all the good information down, right? You know, starting with the Bible, coming over this way. Everybody wrote down their version of truth. And our job was to go find it, read it, you know, package it together again and offer it. Our lives have gotten extremely liberated and therefore complicated. The ability that we have today to walk down the street and go, why is it that sidewalks are this high in one country and this high in another country? The minute you say, why is it that, you can find an answer already about anything. Why is it that in Yerevan, the leaves of the trees fall off in the spring and not in the fall? They get dry in the fall, and then they stay on there, and all the snow sits on them. And then in the spring, with that final snow melt, with the final rain, you drop the leaves. They didn't teach you that in school. In school, they told you the leaves fall in the fall. But if you walk down the street and you ask why, and if you're lucky enough to have Alex walk down with you, he'll just go like this and check and tell you why. We now are liberated. We can find the answers to any question anytime. So now the question is, now what? So now you've got answers to questions. Now what? What do you do with those answers? And especially, what do you do with those answers when those answers are answers to the really tough questions? Like, why can't it be this way? Like, why can't I get what I want because I deserve better? Like, why can't we together make this work? It's such a little place. Why can't we all stand up for what we know is right? Who thinks beating is right? We all think beating is wrong. So why can't we all stand up together to make that happen? Why? When we start asking those questions, asking the question is really easy and tough. Now we have the responsibility to find the damn answer and to do something about it. And the same technologies that liberated us when it comes to asking questions and finding answers, that same technology not just has liberated us, but is now obliging us to do something about it. If nothing else, to get up and shout. In the old days, you had to get up and shout in the middle of the square, and you might have gotten a tomato thrown at you, or your mother might have come and dragged you off and said, amote, or something would have happened. Nobody does that anymore. You have every right to shout, and then somebody's going to ask you, okay, you shouted, now what? So what? What we try to do at CivilNet is to try to present all of these questions that we all have. And we've come to the realization, which is a really important realization in not just our country, but in many countries, that asking the right question is more than half the job. Finding the answer is really, really important, but asking the right question is more than half the job. Asking the right question about what should be fixed, how it should be fixed, why it should be fixed, how somebody else fixes it, what we can do and what we can't do and why. That asking the right question is as important as finding the answer. And now we can do both. We can ask, what? What happened? Who happened? Where did it happen? How did it happen? And why did it happen? Whether it's something small, like yesterday's tree falling on somebody, or whether it's something big, Like, where did it happen that women can be doctors and engineers and can't make social and political decisions? Whether it's a small question or a big question, we have to ask the right question, and then we have to start looking for answers. And these tools make it so easy. You know, don't tell me we're not Paris or London or Washington, D.C. I know that. I want to know what's happening in Tbilisi, what's happening in Tallinn, what's happening in Bratislava, what's happening in other places. And those answers we can find, and those answers we can learn from, and those answers give us the context for not just what, but why and how. How do other people ask questions? How do other people find answers?